Speaking of change, though, do you think Harry will go ahead with this tell-all book?
Oh, it's the worst thing Prince Harry could do. If he had any sense and any understanding of the position that the royal family is in and the nation as a whole, he would just ditch this book, throw it in the shredder, forget that it happened and bury it, because the last thing he needs to do is throw more fire on this divide, and it won't do him any favours and it won't do Meghan any favours, and certainly not their children, because the public will continue to turn against them, especially now the Queen is not there as a mediating force.
Well, there was a moment during the proclamation that did spark a lot of interest online. I'm sure you noticed. It was that moment when King Charles beckoned some subordinate to come and take his inkwell away. Social media lit up over this as if it was a sign that Charles was as condescending and snobby and aristocratic as ever. What was your reading of it? I
think it was one moment in a period of great difficulty for the new king. I mean, we have to understand that he's lost his mother. He's trying to lead the nation in mourning. He's been given the most difficult job in the realm, which is nothing short of an astonishing thing to carry when you're grieving. And we have to give him one moment of maybe a poor judgment call in a ceremony that, let's not forget, no one in living memory remembers how it's meant to go. So I think the intensity of that moment, we can forgive that.
Well, speaking of no one knowing how these ceremonies are meant to go, we saw overnight a moment in Edinburgh where a heckler yelled out as Andrew walked past behind the coffin. What was your take on that moment?
Oh, well, there was going to be one or two of these moments when you've got an entire nation coming onto the public view. What I thought was a better representation of what's going on was watching the Queen's coffin process through Scotland, where the crowds were gathering along the entire length of her journey. They were throwing flowers on the road. The farmers brought tractors to the edge. They arrived on horses. Everyone in the town came out to either applaud in respect of her reign or to bow and curtsy as her hearse passed. And that was a true symbol of how the nation really feels. One or two hecklers, I mean, look at society, you're always going to have a few in the crowd, aren't you? And the cameras like to focus on them, but that's all they've found, meaning the vast majority of responses have been respectful and just an outpouring of grief from the nation.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I mean, Andrew deserves to be heckled, but you really do have to pick your moment. Now, let's talk about the Pope's interest in artificial intelligence. This is a fascinating story, and as far as I know, you're the only person covering it, despite it having been around for a couple of years, but there's been some recent developments. Now, you'd think that the Pope, as Christ's representative on earth, would be more concerned with human intelligence, not artificial intelligence. But tell us about the background to this, Alexandra.
Well, the church is obviously an institution, an ancient institution that has been struggling with the advancement of science for many hundreds of years. We saw it struggle with the when the Earth was no longer the centre of the universe and the sun, we revolved around the sun. All that sort of stuff worried the church because it was a change to their doctrine. They tried to fight against it. Now, in the age of rising Marxism, the church is trying to find a way to maintain its position in the global conversation, and it's decided to join forces with the World Economic Forum and get itself involved in the ethics of technology.